Good evening and welcome to A World Awakening. My name is Erin Bush. I'm filling in for Miss Andrea tonight. It's been a while since I've been here. I texted with her right before the show started and she wanted me to say hello to all of her weirdos and let them know that she'll be back next week. She and her dad are on an incredible adventure up in Alaska on a cruise ship with Strange Escapes. So Amy Bruni and Adam Berry's event company. And what a beautiful segue to our guest tonight. One of my favorite people on the planet, my friend Sandi. She and I met at the same event where I met Andrea, which is up here in St. Augustine at a Strange Escapes event. So we've all stayed in touch over has it been almost 3 years since we did that event, and have become very good friends. And she is the perfect guest, given that it's June. So we are celebrating Pride Month. So I am wearing my Say Gay shirt. We both live in Florida, so it's quite appropriate. And I have my flag here. And the reason this is appropriate is because Sandi is not only a fabulous energy healer, an incredibly high vibing individual. She is an amazing sand artist, which we're going to get into. And she's also a drag king. So I'm super excited to have her on. She's perfect for tonight. Her energy is incredible. So without further ado, I would love to bring on Sandi. Hi, Sunshine.
Yay!
Yay! And you have exciting news that just broke not too long ago about our lovely state of Florida.
Yes.
Insert sarcasm here. But if you would like to be the one to discuss that, have at it.
Sure. So, yeah, really exciting. For those of you who don't know what is going on down here in Florida, our governor has passed several bills into law that are directly targeting the LGBTQ plus community, one being transgender, the other being an attack on drag. The transgender one recently also got overturned by a judge. So there's been a couple of those that have been overturned. And just tonight, a federal judge overturned the ban on drag shows. So specifically to children. The biggest thing was it was Hamburger Mary's who hosted family appropriate shows.
Correct. Yeah, on Sunday afternoons, right?
Yeah.
We have one in Jacksonville as well.
Yeah, sued them and won.
I didn't take very long either.
No.
By the way.
No. Yeah.
Which is impressive.
Yes, it is definitely a pride to celebrate this week, for sure.
And I went to my first Pride event last weekend. St. Augustine had a parade. And I've never been to an event where there's so much love in one place. Like I had tears leaking the whole time because you just see all these incredible people from all different walks of life, all different nationalities, all different colors, everything. And they're all there for one common cause. So I really had a really amazing time at that event in my own little city. I didn't even know we had one. So I will not be missing them going forward. But since we're talking about the fact that you're this incredible drag performer, you were nice enough to send us some pictures. So I wanted to show our audience those just because the makeup is incredible. I can't even tell these are you. So I'm going to put these up. You explain to me who you are. I mean, I know who they are because I can see the name of the files. But here, let's go with the first one.
So I do impressions on some of my drag. So you've got Alice Cooper and Rob Zombie here.
Yep. Which is awesome. And then the other one I have is this one.
Yep. This was my my gay Satan. So I did a mix and I was gay Satan and he was very gay.
I can see that. So tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about, I know all about your life there and the things you do in that community, but I know this really ties in heavily for you, the work you do as a drag performer, but that also ties into your art and also ties into your energy work. So if you want to give us kind of the skinny, because a lot of people on here know who you are because you're in the Buttercup Brigade and you watch the show on the Fridays. But give us kind of the rundown. How'd you end up here? What's your, give us kind of the story.
So I lived in Colorado most of my life, and I was married to a man for 20 years and had 3 amazing children. I mean, seriously, amazing children. And I have 3 amazing, beautiful grandchildren, and 1 more on the way. Will be coming in October. Yep. Yep. My youngest, Nikki. Yep.
That's awesome.
She's due in October. I was raised Mormon. And so if anybody knows about the LDS church, they know that it's not really cool to be gay.
Right.
And I knew something was different about me all of my life.
Right.
When I did finally come out, my mom actually said, honey, I always knew. I just didn't know, how to go about it from there.
Yeah, how to navigate those waters, kind of. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be 62. My mother is 95. It's like this is, the waters were different back then. Today it's completely different, but back then it was very different. So when I finally figured out, oh, this is what it is. This is why I'm different. I literally jumped out of the closet and into the street and, waved my banner. I mean, there was no going back in. And I was out completely to everyone, and I started living my life, and I started living an amazing life. Now, I went through a period of time where I was an alcoholic and a drug addict, and I was diagnosed as bipolar as well. So I was medicated up to the wazoo. I was crazy, and all of those things that go with it. And after it continued after I came out, and I got a divorce, obviously. And by the way, he and I are still very good friends. We co-parent,
which I love.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great.
So, I started getting into the community. I was a DJ, and I saw my first drag show. Of course, it was all drag queens. It was all guys who dresses as women.
Right.
And I went, you guys need a drag king. Cause I can do that. So I started doing that, and I became very popular in Colorado. And once we moved down here, I kind of let it go by the wayside because I really didn't know anybody in the community here. And then it picked up last year again.
Right.
And
which is amazing.
Yes. It really,
you can't even tell it's you. The makeup's incredible. Like, you've showed a couple, and I'm thinking, who the hell? Oh, I'm like, holy shit, that's my girl.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's such, for me, because I can only speak for myself. I cannot speak for other drag performers as to why they do this. But for me, it's about creating this illusion and just entertaining people. And that brings conversation. Absolutely. Everything that I do brings about conversation. My art, my music, my performances all tell a story. When I do drag, I don't just do any song. I put together a mix that tells a story, because I think that's important.
Intentional.
Yeah, I'm a storyteller.
You are. That's a fact. And very good at it.
Thank you. I did one performance right after the election, and that I wasn't thrilled about. And I did this performance based upon my feelings about the election and the fear that my community was experiencing.
Sure.
And it was so powerful that I was crying. I was weeping on stage.
Yeah.
And it was amazing the kind of response that I got from people.
Yes.
And, you know, we've done mental health awareness performances. And again, just it opens up that conversation.
Yeah.
When I do my sand art, which, by the way, to explain that, and if you want to throw up a picture, I'll
You ready?
explain
Okay.
it. Yeah.
And before you dive in too deep, I am the proud recipient of one of these unbelievable prints of some of the artwork that she did. And I was telling her before the show that I had it out in my living room and I moved it into the bedroom. And as a result, I rearranged the whole design of the bedroom to go with this photo. So, because these really are incredible. And I knew that you did these when I met you because you did one for Strange Escape. So here's one here.
Yes. So,
and explain to people how you do these and how you got into this. And I'll just kind of
Sure.
flip through them as you're talking.
So I got into it after January 6th and what happened at our Capitol. I felt helpless. I felt like there's so much division in our country right now, and I felt completely helpless. And I'm like, what can I do as an individual? Yeah. What can I do?
Yep.
And I had seen this art on, I think it was Instagram, and I saw a guy that was doing it, and I went, that's perfect for me. I used to be a landscaper. Yeah. I know how to use a rake. And I'm an artist.
And we have plenty of sand in Florida.
Yeah, we got lots of sand. And my art professor in college used to tell me, you need to go bigger. You need to go bigger. I went bigger.
You've gone bigger.
Yeah.
Well, so and you even got to the point. Sorry, go ahead. Keep going.
So what I do is I take a rake and I just go out like this one you see here. I just create designs by dragging the rake off around the hard sand. You have to do it on the hard sand as you know, after the tide has gone out. And then obviously you only have so much time because the tide's going to come in and the tide is going to erase it all.
Yeah.
And when I did this right after January 6th, I went out and I was creating, and it becomes a moving meditation for me. And I wanted to do something to bring joy to other people. And it was really interesting. Yep. I didn't expect the response I got.
Like a spot on your local news station. I mean, no big deal.
That came later. But
that was cool.
Thank you. I had people from all walks of life come and stop and talk to me. And I even had this couple I'll never forget. They're riding their bikes up and they're decked out in the whole Trump gear and all that. And I'm like, oh boy, they're going to hate this. And they stopped and they started talking to me, and she started getting a tear in her eye. And she said, thank you. Thank you for bringing joy, and thank you for bringing all of us together with your art. Yep. And that changed my whole outlook. And I started becoming a little less judgmental of that party and of those people, right?
Right.
And I started listening to them. And you know what? I'm finding that we're all wanting the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's really, we want to be heard. We want to be loved. And we want to live a happy life, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that ties so well into what I do energetically.
Yes.
You know, and it just, it brings me joy and it brings me such peace. And, you know, while I'm meditating, doing it, and people are like, how can you create a perfect circle? I have no idea.
Well, I was just about to say that you don't draw this out ahead of time. So there's no graphing it out, laying it out. You're literally, and we've talked about this because you've got a close connection to the galactics as well. um, that it's almost like a way that you're sort of channeling them, because everything, you know, the lines are perfect. The spacing is perfect. And it's not like you get an overhead view until you're done with shooting it with the drone.
Right.
So it's coming from a place of something very magical to me.
Yes. And I have to tell you a funny story. I don't know if I told you this one or not, but one day I was out there and I was creating some sacred geometry. And it was about 8:00 in the morning. And I had just finished and I had my phone and I'm, trying, this was before my drone. So I'm trying to, take pictures and stuff. And I was doing a panoramic and I just glanced up into the sky and I saw this huge white light, just this huge. And I thought, well, maybe it's a helicopter, right? And so I finished my pan, which was maybe 2 seconds. And I looked back up because I didn't hear anything. I looked back up and it was gone. And when I first looked up, it was coming at me. So it wasn't going away. It was coming at me. And I just got that sense that, I don't know, maybe the family up there was coming to say hello. And what are you doing?
No doubt.
Maybe I created a design to where they recognized it. But I can tell you that I have not been alone since then.
No.
I've been visited many times.
Yeah, we've discussed some of that. And I think too, there's something about that connection to Andrea. I mean, we're all in this community because of one person, and her connection to them helps us with our connection to them. And so it's like almost like they see you as part of her and they're like, oh, she's good.
Absolutely.
So,
I owe everything. I mean, Andrea reopened my third eye. And when she did that, and she spent so much quality time with us at Strange Escapes, that transformed my life. And I had just gone there just to support Jen. I wasn't really into the whole ghosts and stuff, but I came out of that a total ghost hunter.
I know.
Ufologist in the making, and Andrea, that was the best part of the whole weekend for me, was just sitting down with Andrea and having conversations.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think for a lot of us, and like Jonathan said here, I mean, I think this is very true. She's like a big loving sister. And I think that's so true. And nothing makes her happier, because she always says this to me. I love it when my friends become friends. So just the amount of friendships you've formed since that weekend is astounding. Like Cindy and Awa, who were also with us at Strange Escapes, are in Alaska with Andrea and Roger. Oh yeah. So it's funny that after all this time, we all still stay in touch. Like, we don't see each other much, but we always stay in touch. And I think that's part of the magic of Andrea. And I think too, with, between the drag performances, your sand art, your life experience also has turned you into one hell of a healer. I mean, I've done one tapping session with you and it was amazing. So you've got a business now that you're, promoting, you websites, you podcasts. So give us kind of the skinny on what the business looks like for you, what that energy work entails. And I'll be putting up, some of the graphics that go along with that, so people can figure out where to find you.
Sure. Yeah. There's lots of places. You can find me everywhere. I do. So I've always been told that I've always been a healer from the time I was little. You have a gift. That gift is shown in psychic realms, where I have drawn pictures of and described where this one time a young girl in our neighborhood was kidnapped and murdered. And I saw where she was. And then I drew a picture of the man who killed her. And it was so, like, confusing to me at that time, because I was like, well, do I call the police? I mean, I'm on medication. They're going to think I'm crazy, And, and I didn't, but they ended up finding her and they found him. But it just showed me that, because it's happened before and it's happened since. So every time now that it happens, it just affirms that this is a gift, not a curse, and that I am meant to help people. And the best way that I can help them is energetically. So I work with tapping, I'm a Reiki master. And I started, I got my degree and became a wellness coach, because there's no other wording for what I know.
And I struggle with the word coach too. Yeah, I don't like that word either. I go with guide because it sounds better.
I'm more like a tour guide.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I'm here just to help you figure this out. I'm just along for the ride.
Yes, because here's my thing. I don't have the power.
Exactly.
I don't know. Yes, I don't know. I don't know anything really. It's just it's a gift that I've been able to tap into, and I'm become this conduit.
Yep.
So I can tell you, I've had some amazing experiences with my Reiki sessions. Man, like somebody recently said, "Oh, Reiki's a crock of shit." That's, and I just kind of went, okay. I can just tell you what people that have had Reiki sessions from me have said, and if it is, it is. If it's not, but in reality, they're right, because that's their reality, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I can't change their reality if they're not willing to listen and be open.
Absolutely agree.
So
absolutely agree.
We're energetic beings, and we live in these vessels, these temporary vessels, but energy cannot be created, nor can it be destroyed. So energy workers, all that we do is we kind of take, because we're all connected and we've got this life force energy out there, right? The universe, or God, if that's what you want to call it.
Yeah.
And we just kind of channel it down and help you open yourself up to receiving the blessings of this life force energy, or God, or whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
It's nothing that I give you. I just help you see it.
Yep.
Here's the thing. I was on bipolar meds for 30 years. 25, 30 years. I was in and out of hospitals, and I told that this was going to be my life.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, if this is going to be my life, I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
And there were several attempts of not being here. And thank the goddess that those failed, But I came to a point about 15 years ago where I started having these weird tremors, and I was like Michael J. Fox.
Right.
And I went to the doctor. Yes. And I was diagnosed with tardive dyskinesia, which is Parkinson's, due to the medications. So he said, you've got to get off these medications or you're going to be in a wheelchair in 6 months.
Jesus.
And I was frightened, because I was like, I know what happens when I get off my meds.
Yeah.
But I decided to do it. And I not only got off the medicine, but I started eating better. I started exercising differently, and I started meditating. And I have not been on a prescription medication in 15 years. Not one.
Our stories are very similar in that way. I was diagnosed bipolar as well, and I was on meds for 18 years that I didn't need. So I can completely relate to that. And I think the thing with energy work that we are both so passionate about is, number one, that it's not power that's ours. We don't own it. We are basically a battery for it. So all credit, you know, I know, because you probably get this too. You know, your clients are often like, oh, thank you so much. It's like, no, don't thank me. Thank yourself for one, because you're the one doing the work. And two, it's the source energy that's what's helping this. I'm just the battery,
Right.
you know?
Right.
But I think the thing that you and I are both also passionate about is the understanding that the body absolutely is innately wired to heal itself.
Yes.
But
100%.
we live in a society where we give our power away. Sorry, my volume is on somehow. We give our power away from a very young age. So we learn that doctors and medications are the only things that can fix what's wrong with us. Now, I am never going to be one that poo-poos on the medical community completely, because I think a lot of what we do ties in. It should be an in addition to, not an either or, right? But once we start working with people and start having them see their power, that it's theirs, and they start taking it back, and with the help of the energy work, they start feeling better. And you and I have discussed this. You know, modern medicine treats the body and the mind, but who treats the soul? Energy workers, right? So at that stage of the game, you start working on what's going here. This stuff oftentimes, as you know as well as I do, starts to resolve itself.
Right.
Right?
Oh yeah. Well,
I mean,
it's like, you know, our society, especially in America, we are so focused on disease management instead of health promotion. And so
correct.
Doctors are great if you've got a broken leg. You know, if you're bleeding out your stomach, I can't do Reiki and fix you.
I can't fix that.
You know,
right.
go to the hospital, get some stitches.
Yes.
The thing is that we've become this society where we're looking outward for things to fix us. So
Correct.
we're giving people drugs that are altering their neurological states. And when you alter that state, how can you relate to source? How can you align your energy centers, your meridians? Because remember, all we are is energy. This is just a vessel. We're energy. That's who we are.
It's like an Earth spacesuit, sort of.
Yes, exactly.
We're souls in a body, not the other way around. And I think that's the disconnect too.
That's a great point. And so, you know, for me, being on those medications for years, no wonder I was an alcoholic and an addict. No wonder I was nuts.
Same.
No wonder I couldn't keep a relationship, you know, or friends for that matter, you know.
Yeah. Yep.
It's something. My job is to get people to open up to the fact that they have this power to heal themselves.
Yep.
Medications treat symptoms, not causes. Exactly.
And then they cause a host of other problems most of the time.
Yes. You know, we work in realms of getting the person to understand that they are beautiful, and that they are spiritual, and they're divine and
capable.
Yes. And
it's all the powers here. It's just, we're so programmed because of society, especially as women, that we have to seek external validation, or we have to seek external help for everything, when literally all the answers are here.
Yes.
Every single one of them, they're here. But you have to be willing to, and you know this as well, and your clients will probably say the same thing. This work is not all rainbows and unicorn. It's really hard. And it's soul busting, crying in the corner, grief, agony, and sadness, also followed by beauty and strength and faith, and such a different perspective of yourself and the world around you, that it's worth going through the hard stuff, the shadow work side of it.
You have to get through the muck. You know,
you do, because otherwise it's toxic spirituality. You're like meditating, and that's great. But if you're not willing to take the nasty parts of yourself out, your coping skills that have helped you survive, and learn to love them,
right?
You're limited in how far you can go, I think, with what you can learn about yourself as an energetic being.
what I always tell people is that because they're afraid to get into the grossness.
It's scary,
of it, right? The
yeah,
yuck.
it is, and there's a lot of shame and guilt wrapped in that stuff.
Correct. And I always tell them, think about when you've had the flu. When you have the flu and you feel like, oh my gosh, I need to throw up, but I don't want to throw up. I don't, and you're like trying to prevent yourself from throwing up. But when you finally do, you
feel so much better.
Let it loose. You feel so much better. That's what this work does.
Yep.
And yes, you have to do the work. I cannot do the work for you. I can show you a path. And then I can show you another path. And then I can show you another couple of paths. But you decide to choose which path to go.
Exactly.
And also, you mentioned it too. All the meditating in the world, all the visualization in the world is great, but it's not going to do anything if you do not work on your energy centers and releasing all that negativity. Yep. It's not going to work. Visualize yourself to death. You're not going to get what you want until you can tap in to that quantum field, that higher. Einstein and Tesla got their total insight from the quantum field.
Oh yeah.
That's where all the knowledge is. And everybody can tap into that. Mm-hmm. You've tapped into it. I've tapped into it. I know that. And it takes a certain amount of letting go in order to do that, and trust. And when
flipping on your back and floating.
Yes. When people,
as Andrea would say,
it's such a great honor, because then I can say, hey, now that you trust me, let me show you some things that can help you with that migraine.
Oh yeah.
You want to get rid of that migraine that you've had for years? Let's do it.
Let me show you some stuff. And I think you hit a key point, is the trust factor. I think, and I've talked about this ad nauseum over the couple of years I've been doing these shows, but I think especially for women have had to compete with each other since the beginning of time for everything. So it's been going on for so long that I feel like it's literally ingrained into our DNA. So I find when we're doing this work, whether you work, especially with women, it's so hard to come face to face with a woman, whether it's in person or like I do most of my work on video screen, as you know, to trust somebody, because most of these people, they don't know me from Adam's house cat. They've seen me on here a time or two. But for some reason, they are feeling the need to work with somebody like you or me. They're not sure why most of the time, but whatever they've been doing is no longer working. They've run out of what I call internet bandwidth, like for your energy, because, with the state of the world, people don't realize how full they are of just negative, nasty, stale, stagnant shit that's stuck in their energy field. So no wonder people are popping off for no reason. They're acting out of character. They're doing stupid, crazy stuff that they wouldn't normally do. Once you start clearing that space out for them, it's amazing what starts to happen.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And ego, right? We've got this huge ego. And even if you feel like you're a piece of crap, that's ego. When you play the victim, when you play the martyr, that is ego. That's identifying with the form, the form rather than the soul. And once you learn to recognize that ego and you become aware of it, man, all sorts of things opened up. I'm gonna plug a couple of books while we're here.
Do it.
Eckhart Tolle, New Earth.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, this book changed my life. It really did. You can only read it, like a chapter at a time, and then you have to take 2 days and like.
That's what I'm doing with it currently.
Yeah, that one. And Dr. Joe.
And my favorite.
Yes, Becoming Supernatural. Those two books will start you on a journey down the rabbit hole that you will never want to come back from. You know, and I use a lot of their work in my own work. A lot of their guidance, and it's so incredible. There's so much information out there now that all is converging. right?
It is.
Like Eckhart Tolle's book led me to another book, which led me to another book, which led me to another book, which you and I discussed, which then led me to Dr. Joe, which has then led me to Gene Keys, which is amazing, and there's so much information out there and so many people who are operating on this high frequency and spiritual realm that, I mean, our show, A World Awakening, we truly are awakening. And there's so many people and these children that are being born today. I was watching a podcast and the guy who wrote the Gene Keys was like, Richard, he was like, I don't understand why these children are choosing to reincarnate in today's world, except that they've got something.
They have a job
in their
to do.
genes. They got something going on that we need at this time. And it's absolutely true. When I see my grandchildren and I interact with them, holy cow. My granddaughter, Cambria, who you've met,
Love Cambria.
Is
old soul.
Oh my gosh. All of these indigo children and starseed children are coming forth now, and we need to start listening to them.
Yeah, I agree.
And they need our help. They need our guidance because, man, our society is nuts right now. Things are happening, and but this is what you have to look at. Things are happening like this because there's about to be this transformation, this global transformation. And there's going to be a lot of suffering involved. And then there's going to be this amazing new human. There's going to be new human. We're going to change. We're going to alter our DNA. Our genes are all going to alter to adapt to this new. We're in the age of Aquarius.
Yeah.
And it's more than just a musical.
It is more than just a musical. Well, I want to show because you were talking about ego, and I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, but I think your most recent podcast episode is about ego, is it not?
Yes. I just released a podcast short today.
So I thought,
the little clips,
the little mini guys.
Yeah.
But I wanted to show everybody. And what I'll do tomorrow is I'll put the links out on Buttercup Brigade, like the actual links so people can click on them for the website, the podcast, all that jazz. But this just so people can see what your podcast is. So if you want to give us kind of this mini. I love it.
We are there. We are here. We're here right now. And we're so focused on the destination all the time. I got to get here. I got to get there. And we forget about the journey. The journey is so beautiful. And enlightenment is not a destination, by the way.
Neither is happiness.
Is the journey. Happiness is the journey. You will not get happy when you make all this money. You will not be happy when you find that perfect love. You can be happy right now. I mean, people in who was it? Man's Search for Meaning. Viktor Frankl. He was a prisoner in Auschwitz. And he found meaning and purpose. And he said, you can take everything away from me, but what you can't take away is my ability to choose how I feel about what's going on. My attitude.
Yep.
And
it's just finding that space in between. That's something I talk with clients a lot about is if you're normally reacting one way, you start doing this kind of work, you start to find that there is a little space that you get to decide, to your exact point, how you're going to react or what choice you're going to make. It's just giving yourself that second to find the space to think clearly before you just pop off. And so you're right. Perspective is so much of it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like if you watch waves, the sets of waves or if you've ever been in waves, like I used to shoot waves. That's what I did before my accident. But I'd be in the barrel of a wave, which is just machine washing you all over the place, and you're tumbling and you can't breathe and you're going to die. And then you come up and it's just glass before the next wave comes, right? And that's what you're talking about, is that moment in between those waves. That's the piece. That's the self-awareness. That's when you start on that path of enlightenment, that path of self-healing and all the beauty and all, but you have to have that gunk. You have to work through that machine wash of the waves to get to that. You got to dive under it, or you got to just get tumbled.
Yeah, there's no way. What do they always say? There's no way around it but through it. I mean, you literally have to just suck it up and go. And it's not fun for a while, but
if you have the right tools and you have the right knowledge and guiding, then you know how to go through a wave and not get machine washed after a while. You'll get it first few times, but then you learn how to dive underneath and how to go just below the curl. And then the waves become fun.
It's interesting. You describe it as waves, and I always describe it as tornado, because I will tell people I spent a lot of years in the tornado, right? And now I want to be able to be in the center of the tornado, which would be kind of like you're in between the wave sets. So I'm watching the chaos around me, but I'm able to stay grounded, calm, and make good decisions.
That happy place.
It's a happy place. But like you said, I think it's very important to note that it does take work. It's not perfect. It takes time. I mean, because really what we're talking about, like Dr. Dispenza would say, we're basically rewiring our autonomic nervous system by doing this work. And that takes time. And it's putting those tools into practice. And we both know that we're not teaching people rocket science here. These are basic tools that just nobody knows. If you don't work in this field, you don't know that they're out there. I didn't know any of this shit 4 years ago. I had no idea.
Yeah.
But when you get to the point where you don't want to suffer anymore, and what has always worked is no longer working, it's time to try something different. And there's so many, like you said, there's so many different rabbit holes to go down. There's so many different healing modalities. Like I do Reiki, you do Reiki. You also do tapping. I mean, you do a lot of visualization work. So I want to pop up your business too while we're here, because we've only got about 10 minutes left, if you can believe that. I told you, it goes super fast, right?
I know.
So this is Sandi's amazing logo and the name of her business.
Yeah. So, Nirvana, it's that enlightenment, right? And it's that path. And what I do, and I'm actually, with all of my healing and energy work, I recently talked to a good friend of mine who is an acupuncturist, and we are going to work together doing acupuncture and Reiki sessions together.
I think that's phenomenal, as we've discussed. I think that's amazing.
And we've done one that was just an incredible experience, and it's doing the same thing. She does it with needles, and I do it with energy, just bringing, kind of sealing it, if you will, but it's, we did this session and we were like, man, I think we got something here. So we decided, hey, let's do it. Let's go for it. So yeah.
But that's what's so cool about this stuff is, we all can we all do different things. We all channel energy differently. We all receive information differently from spirit. But when you put a bunch of high vibrational people together for like that, if you've got an acupuncturist and a Reiki healer, right, you're just magnifying that energy like a gazillion fold. And so I think that's really such a cool thing to be able to do, is to collaborate with other healers to come up with different ways that can really up the benefit for people, so that they can start healing and start understanding what their power can look like if they just kind of trust the process.
And what's really cool about what we do is that you and I, even though we're Reiki masters, a Reiki session from Aaron Bush could be completely different.
Very different.
Than a Reiki session from Sandi Hughes. And so we are never in competition.
Nope.
There's no now. If anybody tries to compete with us in this field, then that's the person you want to stay away from because they don't understand how this works. Because with me being a conduit, I'm a different conduit than you are. Your conduit's over here, your pipe's over here, and my pipe's over here, and it comes out in different space, and it's just wonderful and it's beautiful.
It is.
And you know, I absolutely, this was my calling from day one, and it took me, you know, over 55 years to get here, but I've got another 55 years at least to go.
Yeah.
So,
well, and think about it. I mean, this is something too that I think is interesting when we're doing this work, because, you know, obviously therapy has its absolute place, right? I mean, I spend a lot of time in therapy. But I think what's nice about energy work is you and I both, a lot of people don't see our life experience. They only see with where we are now. Like they don't know, just like any human, you don't know the battles that they've had to go through to get to where we are. But people like us don't get to do energy work most of the time because life was perfect. So much beauty and so much power comes from pain. And it, again, to your point, what do we do with it at this stage of the game? Like, so I think for us as healers, it's with our clients is super awesome because we're able to actually relate to them, commiserate with them, be like, oh, me too. Been there, done that. Like you're speaking from a place of experience. So we've been given an opportunity to help others on their path, but we've done it too. You know, like I'm not having people try things I didn't do myself, you know,
we're still doing it.
We're still doing it because healing is linear or is not linear. It's like I think we both see it like a spiral, and you think you've conquered something, and then the universe is like, I'm going to just test you one more time just to make sure. Right.
Yeah.
And so it's always a constant process. And like you said, now we have these tools that we can use to help us make better decisions, to manage things differently, to not get so out of our heads because something's happened. We're able to stay in between the wave sets or in the center of the tornado as opposed to being part of it.
Right.
But I think you have to be able to trust the person.
And there's no time. You know, we're constantly saying, I don't have enough time to do X, Y, Z.
Correct.
Time is irrelevant here, people.
Yeah.
Like there's no, when you get rid of this vessel, you're still here.
Time doesn't matter. Yeah.
No, it's the space, right? Because
it is the space.
You know, like Dr. Joe explains, if I go from here to here, it takes time to do that, right? But if I am concentrating on space, then there is no time. There is only energy. There's only awareness. There's only that connection. And we are all, and I want to really kind of drive this home over the last couple minutes here, that we are all connected. Absolutely. And what I do affects you.
Yep.
And so, you know, it's like, so the aspen trees in Colorado, a lot of people don't know this, but they are one singular organism. So if you looked underneath the soil, it's one system. But yet you have this individual tree here that looks different from this tree and this tree and this tree and this tree. That's us. Here we're popping up as Aaron, and here's Sandi, and here's Andrea, and here's Jonathan, and all, you know, all these different people. But underneath, we are one. We are the same. And so a lot of people are like, well, how can you do Reiki remotely? Exactly.
Quantum entanglement, baby.
Yes, because we are all one. And it's there's no time, space. It's all space. It's all, we're all, that's why we can be in this place and direct our energy over here. It's really simple. It really is. And if people can grasp that idea that we are all connected, then they can understand how this all works. And they can understand that what they say does matter.
Oh, yeah.
What they do does matter. You matter.
It absolutely does.
You know, and that's my biggest thing, is getting people to understand that they are beautiful and they are pure love and pure light. And and they're divine and they have a purpose and they do matter. And they are just as special as anyone else. No one is more special.
Is better than another. Exactly.
No, they're not.
No, they're not. They're
we
not.
try to
and
tell
I think
ourselves that.
We do. But I think that just creates more division. So I think for people like us, it's so important. I think you get to a point when you do enough energy work, you actually start seeing, quote unquote, everything as frequency. So I noticed for me in that way, I react less because I know it's a frequency, right? Like it's not personal, this person's mad at me. Well, it's not personal, so it's an interesting, your perspective on how you see everything starts to shift.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. We have like 3 minutes left. Can you believe
everybody,
that?
Everybody behaves based upon their own story.
Yes.
And what they need to understand is that you can change your story. It's like pick your own adventure book. You know, you can change, you can change the ending, you can change the beginning, and you can, go jump over here to this and you can come back over here. You are not locked into your story.
You're not. I mean, we're both prime examples of that. We're both recovering addicts.
Oh my gosh.
We're both, we've both been through hell and back for different reasons. And by all accounts, neither one of us should still be sitting here, actually, given our life experience on certain levels. But the fact that we are, and the fact that now it's our honor to help other people heal, that's magical. I mean, I don't think you can get better than that for people like us who have worked so hard to recover and get better and be better and do better.
It's a gift that was given to me that I now have to give back.
Completely agree.
And I give freely to anyone who would, who wants it.
Who needs it, wants it.
Yeah.
Yep. And we've only got like 2 minutes left. So I want to flash up your website so that people can see that. And again, I will share the links tomorrow. I'll get the website links up, but that's her beautiful website. And I also, if you want to tell people where they can find you on social media too, Facebook, Instagram, all the places that they can find you.
Yeah. So on Instagram and Facebook, you can find me under Nirvana Health and Wellness, or just my name, Sandi Hughes. Just join the tribe, man. Just come join my tribe.
It's fun over here. We've had a lot of fun.
Message. Yeah, we're like, I love it. At the beginning, you talk about, Andrea was like, say hello to all my weirdos. I totally tell people that all the time. Come join us, weirdos.
It's the merry band of weirdos. Yeah. And I'm just so grateful you were willing to come on and do this with me tonight. Your energy is the perfect energy for a show like this, especially given that it's Pride Month and the world is chaos. And, we are given such an amazing opportunity to teach other people how to love themselves again.
Yes.
By doing the work themselves. We just get to be honored enough to walk that journey with them and support them where needed. And I hope that, we can continue to raise the vibration, help other people feel better about themselves, and
jump on the tour
whoever you want to be. Jump on the weirdo train. It's a great place to be,
It is. It is.
Do you have any final thoughts before we sign off?
Oh, I am so honored. Really. I am so honored. I love you so much. You know that. And
I love you too. You know that.
I love Andrea, and thank you, Andrea. And I'm super jealous because right now it feels very hot and muggy here in Florida, and I wish I could be in Alaska.
And Alaska.
Temperature decrease. But thank you so much. This has been wonderful.
It has. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. It's always an honor to have you hang out with us and get to see some of the comments. And Andrew will be back next Friday. And we hope everybody has an amazing weekend. And let's just keep being kind to other people and spreading some love. So thank you all for joining us. Happy Pride. Have a great weekend, everybody.